Dynasty. Reed, how are you feeling?
I can't believe that it's over. It's been the longest season ever, it feels like. So it's kind of surreal that it's actually over because it's felt like, oh, we have weeks left until it ends. I'll deal with that then. And but it's here. We were lucky enough to screen the series finale before it aired, which was very special as a fan. And I loved the episode. I think I've said before, like I have no idea, like I couldn't even predict how they would end the show, just based on how the show is, its themes, its tone. I'm like, do they go out with a huge bang? Do they go like heartfelt, tied up in a bow, like other shows? And I felt like they did it. I mean, I went into it and I'm like, I still have no idea what they could have planned for not only the last episode, but the last scene. Um, so I went in with it into it just like along for the ride. And I was very pleasantly surprised how they decided to wrap up all of the characters' journeys. And I know we haven't talked about 521, the penultimate episode on this podcast, just how things went scheduling wise. But a lot of elements from that episode came to a head in the finale. I'm gonna spoil some things, so here's your spoiler warning, everybody. So in the penultimate episode, there's a new major domo at the manor. His name is Graham, and I feel like he came out of nowhere. Although he had a conversation with Kirby at the hospital that made it seem like they were friends, and I was like, I feel like I've never seen this man before in my life. I don't know why Kirby's gaslighting me into believing I've seen him before. So at the end of the penultimate episode, he kidnaps Adam, and I was like, oh yeah, let's get Adam. But I was like, I don't know why this random stranger has beef with Adam. And like immediately in the series finale, he has Adam like tied up or something, and he, no joke, pulls his face off, and it's Steven.
It's a great reveal.
I was dying. It was like 5 seasons and we haven't done a face reveal like this. I was, oh my God, over the moon. The one thing I will critique is that they did the face reveal twice, and it kind of lost its luster the second time because he did it with Sam, and I was like, I couldn't imagine being in Sam's shoes and like, oh my God, my ex-husband was just talking to me as another person. I don't know, it was a lot. But yeah, I love that how they brought Steven back and how he knew exactly what he wanted to do, and it was to get revenge on Adam, rightfully so. Did you guys both watch the episode? I've been rattling on.
Yeah.
You guys?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really good. I think we should talk about the fight sequence because
Oh, yeah,
I
that was
wasn't
good.
ready. It was so good. I didn't expect to see that in the finale.
Stevens can scrap, which was
Yes, he can.
unexpected.
They were truly going for it, and it was amazing.
Adam went below the belt when he said, "You're not even a real Carrington." I was like, "Oh,
Oh my God.
I mean, the DNA says that's true, but we're not going to go there."
No.
It felt like it had to build up to that. I know the biggest thing the show was dealing with over the years was Steven's random disappearance, and it's like I know that caused a lot of controversy as well as to why he was no longer part of the show, and there was never really like an official explanation given, was there, as to why he just disappeared?
I mean, not the actor
Yeah.
or the character. They just, Adam kind of just like locked him away so that he could take over his life because Adam had been kidnapped as a child. And he didn't get his birthright of being a Carrington. I don't know why he took it out on Steven, but that's what happened.
But it felt right that the finale finally took us full circle, and it did explain a bit as to why the family kind of stopped talking about him, because obviously Adam was intercepting the letters and everything. And even though you kind of did, there were storylines where you could kind of grow fond of Adam over the years or whatnot, he was still probably the worst character of them all. So it made sense that he was the one out of all of them that got his comeuppance in the end. Because I know we all said that none of them are really good people. So can you imagine a happy ending for all of them? But if there was one that maybe didn't need it to not deserve it, it was Adam. So I'm glad it came full circle, because I was always a Steven over Adam kind of guy anyway. So yeah, I'm glad that's how it ended up.
Yeah, Adam was fun to watch, but it is funny that he somehow still practicing medicine. He's a vet now in London, which is an interesting choice considering that Amanda is in London too. So I don't know why they put them in the same city. It was interesting. But I loved the scene where Fallon sees Stephen for the first time. I rewatched it so many times because Liz devoured that scene. It was more emotional than I could ever imagine because she loved her brother. Like they were best friends. And I know she says like, oh, I thought about you every day. I want to make you proud. And that wasn't really in the show. So I guess maybe she always had that in the back of her mind in Liz's performance. But it was beautiful to see them reunited. The people that I wanted to see Stephen reunited with the most were Fallon, Sam, which I'm glad they got back together, even though there was like that tease that they were getting married 6 months later and it was actually Colleen. And Alexis, but he didn't really get a moment with Alexis. Like a scripted like scene. Yeah. Like I know Alexis like gasped when Fallon did the reveal that he was back. But he had never done a scene with Elaine as Alexis. So, and he was really, really close, Stephen, to Alexis. He was one of like the Alexis, I don't want to say deniers, but he was always like on her side.
Oh, an apologist. He's an Alexis
apologist. But yeah, I saw a tweet that was like, how are they going to wrap all of these storylines up? And I think they did it as best they could. In true Dynasty fashion, they did some of it really quickly, but I wasn't left wanting anything else besides maybe the final shot. And I'll get back to another moment that I forgot to talk about, but the final shot with the whole cast together doing a family photo. I was like, oh, that's kind of sad that Sam Underwood, who plays Adam, didn't get to be in that shot just because his character's been ousted from the family. But I loved that final shot with the whole cast to These Are Days by 10,000 Maniacs. I like, again, I had no idea like what the final shot could have been. And I had predicted maybe it could have been the clip they showed in the promo with Blake and Fallon toasting to the future. I was like, did they just give away the final scene? But that wasn't it. But what did you guys think of the final scene?
I thought that it emphasized the element of family that was running through the finale. I like that. I think it's Falliam that says pretend like you love each other before they take the picture.
Yeah.
It just felt it felt like a moment in time with more story to come, even though they did the snapshot of the picture and it kind of spins the way that they used to do, I think in some TV shows. And I liked that it was all of them together rather than it being just shot of one person or two people. It was all of them, with exception to Adam, who probably has the picture somewhere with himself photoshopped into it on his desk.
I loved it, I have to say. And one of the recurring arcs of this podcast has been me slowly catching up on Dynasty over the last year and just under a year. But I have to say, I did it. I didn't just watch the finale yesterday. I watched the 7 episodes that came before it. I all caught up on the show. So yes, I went into that with 100% knowledge before the show. And I don't think it could have ended any better than that. You got in that one little shot where they were taking the photograph, you got to see like Alexis arguing with Dominique, but it was more playful than usual. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like they were enemies for like the season. And then that scene was like, they enjoy being frenemies. They're always going to be in each other's lives somehow. And they, as much as like Jeff was like, oh my God, get along, they were like having fun. Like they like having each other in their lives. That was one of the moments that I really loved in the finale, was Alexis and Dominique.
Yeah, definitely. Because it feels like it gets repetitive over the time. You're like, just let each other live. But now you see that like they're family and they kind of like, they love to hate each other even if they don't like love each other. But I think that was the overarching theme of the finale, and that not everyone gets along all the time. They don't even have to like each other all the time, but they are family. And I think that really came across in the scene where Blake and Alexis were looking for Dax, and he said, Alexis, I don't like you, but you'll always be part of this family, and I can't let you go out there and get yourself killed. Because their relationship was one of the most important of the show, and you don't get to see it as much in recent seasons. So it was really nice that they brought it back to that as well. It was just, if family was everything, and the whole Carrington United as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It's interesting because if I look into it through like a philosophical like lens, like what was this show about? It was really about Fallon trying to prove herself against this family name, trying to build her own dynasty, trying to like reacting against her family. Like, I don't want to be Blake. I want to be better than Blake. And in the end, she kind of realizes she can build her own dynasty, but it's nothing without her family. Like, she came to this place of acceptance, starting her own family, which I kind of love that it wasn't like a huge deal about the kid. She just walks in with the kid. She's like, here's Lauren, which is the name of one of Fallon's kids in the original series. And she's like, but by the way, I need to get my job back. But yeah, I love that the arc of the series ended up being Fallon coming to this place of like, I'm tired of fighting against who I am, who I've been, who this family's been, and we can start over. And it's better to be together than to constantly be running up this mountain of just like generational crap. Like, they can just be like together, work together, but still it's not going to be perfect. They're still going to fight. Like, it's not going to, the finale like wrapped everything up in a bow and everyone got their happy ending, but you just know it's cycles are going to continue. It's never going to be smooth sailing. I thought that was unexpectedly beautiful for this show, which is had people thrown into a fire, new faces, face reveals, like all this crazy stuff, that it came to a place of vulnerability that you can relate to that, even though it's larger than life.
I don't think that could be said any better.
Yeah. I think, how do you follow that?
Last thing before we move on, Fallon did sing one final song.
Beautiful.
She shared a song with Steven, which I know a lot of fans are going to love that, because the two of them singing together was, for the first 1.5 seasons, was a big thing. They sang The 12th of Never by Johnny Mathis. I had never heard the song before, but wow, what a way to hear it for the first time. I just, more so than how great they sounded together and seeing them sing together, I'm getting chills. The way Liz was looking at him, I think it transcended Fallon looking at Steven, and it was just like she had been waiting for that moment for so long, as have we. And it was a really beautiful moment in a crazy episode in a crazier series.
Yeah.
That went out on a high.
Yeah. I think I watched the whole finale with a smile on my face, and of course I laughed at the funny moments. I was like, oh, at the face reveal. But I think overarching, if I look back at those 40 minutes, I watched that finale with the biggest smile on my face. It was nostalgic, and yes, there was a sadness about it, but my favorite thing about the finale was that it celebrated what the show was. So it was a celebratory smile, it was a celebratory sadness, and yeah, it's hard to imagine the CW without it now.
No, Reed, are they on DVD? I'm assuming a complete series is coming.
They're released on that manufacturer on demand thing. So I don't know if they're going to do a complete series. I would love it. But I will be buying season 5 whenever it's released, and I will be watching the series as much as possible for the rest of my life.
Well, that is a cue to everybody else. Buy it on discs. I feel like I keep reminding everyone of that. Streamers pull things all the time, and we don't know what a CW is going to be doing. So if you love Dynasty and you do not own it, fix that.
Support physical media.
Yes, forever and always.
Cheers to Dynasty, the end of an era.
They need to have another soap on CW. Or you know what? Since they are big on syndication, rerun Dynasty from the beginning, CW, and during the summers.
I would love that.